What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review of the Monster Training Gloves by Yokkao. Alright folks, as always, I'm really excited to bring you yet another gear review. Today I have the Monster Training Gloves by Yokkao, and this was recommended by Justin Chen, who commented on my last Muay Thai training glove video. He said, hey, I see them on your glove rack, and actually there's the slot missing where the Yokkaos normally go, right up here, and I'm pretty sure I used these in a video or two, and a couple people have asked about them, and here's the review for them finally. So Justin, thank you very much for commenting and asking if I could do this. Here is your review, my friend. If you have any other recommendations, just drop them below and I'll get them done. So moving into Yokkao, I always have to give you guys a really brief background about the company themselves, but there's actually quite a bit to Yokkao, but I'm gonna try and shorten it to about a minute. Basically, Yokkao started only 9 years ago in 2010. They became one of the leading manufacturers of Thai equipment in Thailand, but the big thing that got a lot of people on board to this company is that they have a huge gym based out of Bangkok, Thailand. So not only are they a really good manufacturer, but they have a really good gym. And why is it a really good gym? They have some of the most savage individuals to ever participate in the sport of Muay Thai. And when you think about those people, you can think about Spencer Brown, Liam Harrison, Yokkao, Manichai, and of course, some people consider this guy the greatest of all time, Sanchai himself, all trained under the same roof. Now, I don't know about you, if I went to Thailand and went to that gym, I'd be scared to step in a ring or on a mat, especially with those monsters just waiting to chew you at the bit, right? And then, not only are they a really good gym, they also, once again, have their manufacturing, but they're also a big promotion. So Yokkao is actually their own kickboxing promotion. They do Muay Thai, of course, and they also do K1 style kickboxing, and they travel all over the world, primarily throughout Europe, like Ireland, Italy. They also go to other parts of Asia, like Japan, China, and I believe they've been to the US maybe once or twice, but I'm not too sure about the US part. The other cool part is, if you can't go out to Thailand or go to any of these events and watch these people, you can wait for them to come to your neck of the woods, because they do the Yokkao Super Seminar Series every single year. I missed a Sanchai seminar, which would have been about 3 hours for me, but unfortunately I had a family reunion this year, and family of course comes first. But if you ever want to go and learn from these guys, look up Yokkao's website and you can go see where all the seminars are. And at the end of the seminars, it's really cool because you can actually like train with these guys. Not only are you training with them, but you can spar with them at the end too. So you could be your local amateur hero or your local pro sparring with quite literally some of the best fighters in the world in the sport of Muay Thai. And they're all really nice people, and they are really cool when it comes out to reaching out to their people. So that's why I love Yokkao as a company. They're new. They constantly seek to improve, and they're smaller than a lot of other companies as far as the manufacturing goes, but I promise you within the next couple of years they might overtake a couple companies, which would be crazy. That is my guess, but I don't know. The other reason why Yokkao is so big is because they come out with designs like this. How often do you see boxing gloves that are different colors other than, you know, red, blue, yellow, whatever color it might be? But now you have a really cool design, and that is the Monster design. And let's go right into the look of the glove now that I'm done boring you with all the details. You can see that this is a very cool, unique feature, and I believe Yokkao actually calls the Monster the blue fuzzy toothy monster or something, which is crazy, but you can actually see where they get that from. You can see the big red eyes just glowing at you right there with the big black dot in the center, which is really cool. You got the big brow that's just sitting there. Then you got the bridge of the nose and a couple lines here, then the big nose and the nostrils look like a monster go like blowing the smoke out of its nose. Like you see in movies and stuff. You got the big lip here, you got the big sideburns going off the bottom going down to his chin, and then of course you got the big white teeth going all throughout the glove. So it's a really cool design. It's a really unique design. You never see gloves that have designs like these. And then the rest of the glove is actually pretty basic. You got the classic white boxing glove color on the thumb, on the punch surface and the finger surface, and towards the bottom here. And then on the palm, you have a bunch of red on the piping, the stitching, everything about it is red on the palm. And on the wrist cuff, you have Yokkao's logo here with the big tiger, the black and white here, and the big red logo. And it says www.yokkao.com. And then on the side here, you can also see it says 16 ounce, and it says something like premium leather, has a Yokkao symbol, and says handmade in Thailand, and it has a bunch of these deformed trees looking things that look like they're growing fingers, so they might actually be hands, so that would be interesting. But a big question a lot of people will have with gloves like these, the big question a lot of people will have anyway is, are these just a wall piece, you know, or do I just put them on display, or can you actually use gloves like these? Because there are gloves out there on the market, they have the big flames on them, or they have these cool designs, and the designs never last, and the gloves just fall apart. They're more or less for display. Yokkao makes these gloves for everybody to use, and if you see some of the people on Team Yokkao that use them, they better be good, because if they're using them as much as they do, you know, any other glove but Yokkao will probably go out of business pretty fast, you know. But when we talk about the outer shell, starting off with the design of the glove and what it's actually made of, the outer shell is 100% cowhide full grain leather, and you can tell by the sound it makes, the little crinkle, you can tell by the smell. It smells like a brand new dress shoe, and how durable it is. Now, it's not the thickest layer of hide, you know, maybe there's about a good couple centimeters there, maybe you can only pinch up a little bit. It's not like a Cleto Reyes where it's a thick cowhide. It's a very thin layer of cowhide over this, but the whole glove is made out of it, and leather is extremely durable. That's why people use wallets that last them for years, belts, jackets, whatever it might be. Think about leather when you crash on a bike. Most people use leather because it protects you. It's like you have hide over it. So of course you want to put that on a really good glove, and for a Muay Thai glove to have nice solid leather is very important. And it's even leather right down to the piping. The only part of the glove that isn't leather is the inside. It's all nylon, and then the stitching and the Velcro, of course, because that needs to be a different type of material, although there are leather stitching materials, but unfortunately this is not a leather thread. But going into the design of the inside of the glove, a lot of people normally have the stigma that Muay Thai gloves are very thin, the padding's very small, it's normally a smaller glove, which is true. Yokkao still has a small glove here, but the one thing that I can say about these gloves is they're very puffy compared to a lot of other Muay Thai gloves. You know, if I were to take a Fairtex right here, you know, it's very small. It's even smaller than the Yokkao here a little bit, and it's very much a flat puncher's glove, whereas this is more rounded. So if I put the Fairtex back here, going back to this, it's actually a puffy glove, and that's why these gloves are used by a lot of people that train a whole lot in Thailand, because you always want to protect your hand. So I would call these like a winning style pillow glove in the Thai world because of the multi-layered high-density foams that you get on the inside of here. Now, Yokkao says it just uses a shock-absorbing foam, but the way it feels, the way that it performs, definitely feels like it's a multi-layer, probably a 3-layer high-density foams. And you can tell because when you push, it doesn't fold inward around your fingers. It pushes your fingers in around the interior, which means that it's actually cradling your knuckles when you hit instead of your knuckles piercing through, which is what you're gonna want with a glove like this. And that's like that all throughout the top of the glove, even in the thumb, but not so much in the palm. It's more or less the punch surface, the fingers, the thumb, the back of the glove. But then when you get to the palm, the only padded parts are actually this little padding part here. So when you clinch, it doesn't make your partner uncomfortable, and you know, it's good for catching kicks too. And then the grip bar is that same soft material. It's a very soft grip bar, but the interior is just solid leather. But going into the palm here, you can see all the double line stitching all throughout the glove. You have this really cool piece of a leather strip here that keeps the thumb stable, and it also attaches the thumb. And speaking of the thumb, you have a really cool webbed thumb attachment instead of a tiny little strip that might snap or break on you. This is what keeps your thumb nice and stable, which is something I wish most gloves use nowadays. So Yokkao does a really good job doing that. So your thumb stays nice and stable. The stitching goes all the way throughout the side of the glove, all the way on the thumb as well throughout here, and of course the bottom here, and it's all a double line stitching. The only part that is not a double line is the thumb stitching, because that's the part that needs to actually keep everything together, and too much stitching would actually tend to fray it out. So once again, the only padded parts you have are the palm a little bit right here on the side and the thumb on the inside, but the rest of it is very much just a thin piece of cowhide. So if you're expecting a glove that's very puffy to catch kicks or that's going to limit you from clinching, this is not the glove. So it's very, very flat in the center. You can really get a good grip on something. So maybe wrap your hands a little bit more padded on the interior if that's your forte. But most Thai gloves, like this one is no exception, also has no big bar going on the wrist to protect your knuckles, protect your wrist, because boxing gloves will have that big wrist bar so your wrist doesn't snap all over the place. But of course in Muay Thai, you have to grab, you have to get the plum and then pull down kind of like that and pinch your elbows. And once you do that, you can already see my wrists tend to go down a little bit when I pinch. So this glove is no exception. It's very bendy at the wrist. So the wrist support on gloves like these may not be the greatest for some people that might have brittle wrist, but at least the knuckle support's there. But I'll get into that in my breakdown of the glove after, in my final verdict anyway. But the wrist support is very little, and it's a very much, not so much a top-heavy glove, but there is definitely more weight towards the top than there is the bottom, just because there isn't a whole lot of the bottom. It's a very short wrist cuff. But when you open this, it has actually a pretty decently long wrist strap here. The Velcro is really strong, and it's strong here as well on the cuff itself. And what keeps it nice and stable on your wrist is that leather patch right on the inside here. So you get this small little leather patch, kind of like the windy training gloves, that really snaps onto your wrist and does not come off, and I'll show that in just 1 second here. The rest of it is a very baggy nylon, which I'll get to when I put my hand in, but it's all very baggy, very, very baggy nylon. I'll say one thing, this is one of the more baggy gloves that I've used on the inside. But putting my hand on the inside, most of the time you imagine Thai gloves to be very small in the hand compartment. Well, for one, it's not very small in the hand compartment at all. You know, the interior lining is very baggy, and that might be a little bit annoying. And although it has these ventilation holes right on the palm here, if you can see those, it's still very hot inside of the glove. So that might be one drawback for some people. But one thing I'll say is, for the thumb being so curved, I can definitely feel that the padding is kind of smushing my thumb in, and not a bad way. It's more like a cradled feel, and it's very soft, but I don't have a whole lot of movement within the glove to do that. The wrist is very bendy, but one thing I can tell you is that my hand, I need to pull really, really hard to get it out. Like, and my arm's sweaty too because it's hot in my basement here. But besides that, it's a very, very durable glove here. To stay on your wrist anyway. Once again, if I pull as tight as I can, now it's not even coming off. So it's a very, very solid glove on your wrist. Does it mean it has the best wrist support in the world? No, because there's nothing padding your wrist. So you really have to be careful placing your punches. But your knuckle support in these gloves, like I said, it's very much a pillow style glove to me. Most of my sparring partners have said that as well. I've had one or two people say they're kind of stiff, but I think that's because we were sparring a little bit harder. But overall, there's a lot of room in the hand compartment, so you can wrap your hands up nice. Maybe a gel guard and really big, thick hand wraps or a fight wrap would fit inside this. And I have decently sized hands, and most Thai gloves really pinch my hands a lot, but these are really nice, and they're only 16 ounces. So if you have bigger hands, if you're a bigger guy, I'd definitely go with a 16-ounce glove. But I would go 16 ounce for anybody, any size. The other thing I'll say is, before I get into the bag work here, is that although it's kind of hot and humid on the inside, it's comfortable. It's a very comfortable interior lining. It's very soft. You definitely can't feel that your knuckles are punching through the glove at all, which is good. The padding cradles your knuckles really well. And the grip bar is really comfortable too. And the best part, since it's a Thai glove, it opens very wide. I can get a really good grip on the back of a neck, or maybe here on the shoulders. I get really good grips with these gloves. So they're very good for MMA big glove sparring, and they're very good, of course, for traditional Muay Thai sparring as well. The grip bar feels really good, and it actually has this bean feeling right up here. I can't really show that in the video, but it feels like a bean bag on the top part of the glove. So it's a really comfortable really natural form-fitting feel as far as the glove goes. But once again, the wrist support doesn't suspend you in any way. It's a very loose wrist. But let's see how I react when I hit the bag and when I show you some sparring view. That way you can get a really good understanding of what this glove might feel like for you when you use them. So I'll see you in another minute with a final breakdown. Alright, so these gloves are awesome on the bag because of how protective they are over the knuckles. They have really good grip for clinch. I can get a really good grip on the bag, and of course I can get a good grip on sparring as well. But really the bag work just feels great with these gloves. I feel nice and protective. I can really sink my punches in because of how much padding there are over the knuckles. I wrap my hands up nice around the wrist for these gloves because the wrist support may not be greatest, but I really do like to use my explosive workouts with these gloves, and I feel like you will too, just because of how much padding there really is on the Monster gloves by Yokkao. Alright, so here we got the sparring view of the Yokkao gloves, and you can see those big red eyes coming right at you. Someone's trying to grab you, someone's trying to punch you. You see a bunch of white as well. So the eyes don't really present themselves until you're off to an angle, but you can definitely see them when the punches are coming directly at you as well. They're a really nice, sharp looking glove. It definitely looks like someone using these has a fun time and knows what they're doing, and I think you're going to like looking at them whether you are using them or your teammate is using them. Alright folks, so the final verdict here on the Yokkao Monster training gloves is that they're one of my favorite pairs of gloves to use nowadays. They're definitely in one of my rotations. I love these gloves, especially for big glove MMA sparring and Muay Thai training, but I have used them in my traditional boxing training as well, because they are a very puffy glove. They're very padded. Everything about the glove is nice, but of course I have to tell you about the drawbacks. That way you know what to look for when you're buying these. When it comes to the glove, you're spending about $120, which for a glove like this is definitely not a bad deal whatsoever. However, what you're paying for really is the face on the glove, the Monster logo, and same thing for some of their Tiger designs or a couple other designs that they have. When you talk about that, this is based off their Matrix model, which is their stamp model. Stamp model is basically what every glove is made after. So you can buy a black, white, red, yellow, purple, whatever color glove from Yokkao that is the same thing as this without the logo on it, and it's maybe $85 to $90 compared to the $120 that you spend here. The other thing is the US does not have a whole lot of Yokkao distributors yet. You know, there might be Super Rare in New York City and MSM Fight Shop and down in Florida, but besides that, I do not believe there's a whole lot of distributors in the United States. So you gotta go through Amazon or go through a couple things on eBay, which do ship them to you from Thailand, which might take a week to two. I know I bought mine on eBay because everything on Amazon was gone within a couple weeks of it being posted. But with that said, the other drawback I would say that might deter some people is that the wrist support, like most Thai gloves, is not there as much as say a traditional boxing glove. You know, you can kind of see that because it's very bendy here. But of course it's a Thai glove, so you have to be able to crunch people down. You have to be able to open the glove really well, and it opens perfectly right out of the box. It's very much an open glove. It's puffy, and the padding's really good in the knuckles, but compared to say a rival glove that I took out here for an example, you know, this is the RS11V, and you know, there's not really a bar here, but it's a much more supported wrist, a much more padded wrist here. So when I take this and I kind of like bend it back and forth, it suspends it. So even if I bend, it keeps my wrist in place by doing that. It might bend towards the bottom, but when I put my actual hand in here and then I strap it, my wrist can't really move a whole lot in this. But compared to say the Yokkaos, my wrist can move around a lot in this. So if your wrists are brittle, maybe not the best glove for you. But one thing that you can do to get around that is just wrap your hands a little bit more around the wrist, because the knuckles are very puffy in these gloves. And that's one thing I would say if you are someone that absolutely must have a really big recoil off these gloves, maybe not the best gloves for you, because whenever I hit the bag or hit you know, anyone in sparring, it does not feel like I have a whole lot of feedback, which is good if you want to protect your knuckles. They're a very comfortable glove. The only thing that causes me discomfort in these gloves is that, once again, the wrist can be a little spotty sometimes, and the other part is it just gets way too hot and humid at the inside of the glove. And probably the reason why is because you got that big leather palm with only a couple of those ventilation holes, which, you know, that's like poking holes into a box and expecting like a wildebeest to survive. It's just not going to happen. It needs a lot more air, just like your hand will. So it does get hot and humid, and the baggy material on the inside of the glove does get annoying every now and again, and it takes a little bit longer for it to dry. It takes maybe up to an hour or two to dry, which for some gloves isn't that bad, but it is annoying, especially if you're going from session to session to session and you want to dry it a lot faster. The other thing is, the interior doesn't ever smell that bad, and the glove always stays the same, but you definitely want to clean the inside of the glove. Most of the time, a baggy material takes a lot longer to dry out and to disinfect because there's more material just flopping all over the place and it's crowding the glove so it can't breathe. Whereas if you take a very tightly stretched inner lining, it has more area to breathe and it doesn't go anywhere. The other worry about the baggy material is that I worry sometimes that the sweat and stuff might go into the padding and change the glove weight, but so far it's been very consistent over the last 2.5, 3 months of me owning these. It's a very comfortable glove for sparring. You know, when you spar with people, I've had one person say that it was a little stiff, but he thought it might have just been my hands maybe be a little bit bigger, kind of poke through the glove. But everyone else I've sparred with said they're very puffy, they're very nice, and they don't feel like you're getting hit by much, which is good. So if you want a really good sparring glove, these gloves might be a good glove for you. The other cool part about these gloves is that the design, so everyone's going to look at you and say, oh wow, these gloves are cool. And they definitely are very durable. That cowhide leather does not crease a whole lot compared to a lot of other Thai gloves out there on the market, especially since they need to open and close. In fact, the leather hasn't looked like it's aged much. Maybe the one crease underneath the eye here is really the only thing that you will have. But, you know, overall, I would give these gloves a solid 7 out of 10. I'd recommend them to everybody. I just warned people that, hey, spend the money right if you want to use these gloves. They're about $80 to $90 depending on where you get them from, and wrap your wrist a little bit more. And if you have massive hands, don't go near them because they're still a Thai glove, and even my hands, when I wrap my hands up nice, need some more breathing room inside these gloves. But they are very comfortable, and I do recommend them to anyone that's giving Muay Thai or MMA or boxing a try. So everybody, I hope that review helped you out. Justin Chen, once again, thank you very much for recommending this video to me. I do appreciate it. And everybody, have a great day. I'll see you on the next episode.